of view. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people are saying, the next thing is like, speakers below you, but maybe you need the like close speakers. Like you got the far speakers and then the close speakers.
I don't want.
There you know what I mean? Don't take that idea, Wilfried. That's my idea.
I did test, and in our binaural technology, we use as well the fourth layer on the bottom. We have it, in our binaural setup. We have that kind of speaker localization. But did you ever hear about the 22.2 system from Kimio Hamazaki?
Yeah, you were telling us last time how
you told us in the after show. I think in the after show,
he works for you now or something.
So Kimio is the inventor of the Auro 3D format. Is the inventor of the 22.2 NHK format. Yeah, and I remember in 2006 he was the chairman from the Audio Engineering Society. That was the convention, and there was like a workshop about surround sound plus height. And he invited me for that thing, and that's the first time I met him. And I was shocked about hearing about the system 22.2. And I thought it was just like a system for a lab, yeah. But he said, no, we envisioned that in Japan in 2020 it should be the standard at home, yeah. I said, wow, at home? Who is going to install 24 speakers at home?
Yeah, right.
That's crazy.
But that's a Japanese way of thinking. So I was immediately interested in Japanese women because I think, okay, they allow their man to put like 24.
That's wild, yeah. That has a negative wife acceptance factor right there.
Yeah, the woman acceptance factor, the WAF factor. Yeah,
it's on the negative spectrum
over there. Yeah, right.
Anyway, so if Kimio could laugh with it as well, I said, yeah, but finally, let's say they came from a completely different way. They started with a research center where like about 400 speakers in a room, and they were always like diminishing till they feel, now you start to feel the gaps too much.
That's the idea, yeah.
So that's the way that they came to that kind of stuff. And they had as well bottom speakers. They had like in the bottom, they had especially in the front, they had like two channels there.
But did they have near speakers?
No,
okay. I see.
Were like 3 layers. There were no near speakers. It was just like in, let's say you had, but they were like on 45 degrees, not on 30 degrees, and they had a kind of different, let's say, front speaker layout as well. It's not the same as a stereo. They have like it's 45 and 90 degrees. It's not like 60 degrees angle, So it's like a 0, 22 and a half and 45 degrees at one side. So that was in fact. That was very interesting. I learned a lot about, let's say, listening to that system, and Kimio was surprised when he heard Auro 9.1 how immersive it's sounding only with 9 channels. Wow, how do they do that? Because this is really amazing. And he became in love with that format, And by the way, Kimio is consultant for Auro 3D in the meantime, So it's very interesting because what I learned with that bottom speakers, he did a lot of tests afterwards to understand what are the most important channels from his 22.2 format. And then he found out, of course, that there were like just those channels which were chosen by the Auro 3D format. And the first things what were dropped out were these bottom channels. And in a practical way, you cannot use them so many times. You can sometimes, it might be interesting sometimes to have them, but let's say it's not that easy. And by the way, perhaps in your home, that's if you're like sitting yourself only with 1 or 2 or 3 people, it makes sense. But in a cinema theater, bottom speakers, how are you going to do it?
We have a question here from Joe. Thank you for the super chat. If you have 8-foot ceilings and say you sit 12 feet away, the front heights would be about 18 to 20 degrees. Would it be advisable to pull those towards you along the ceiling to be 30 degrees? And I think that's what this paper is all about, that PDF.
Yeah, that's a very good question, by the way. And you see that very often that people, they are like too much thinking about this 30 degrees. I would say, for me, it's more important that, let's say, your screen channels. Let's say your screen channel should be above your screen then. And if you don't have the place above your screen, then I would say then try to bring them a little bit into the room, but not too much. Very important is that the distance from your high channels should not be closer to you than the distance from your ear level channels. If you can bring them up, you can bring them a little bit into the room, but let's say not closer than, let's say, the distance to your ear. If you want to have a little bit more, 18 to 20 degrees is not that much. Typically what I advise to people is if you have, let's say, if you're going to install only 2 layers and you put them like on 80 to 20 degrees, it will already give a great effect. Yeah, it's not that it is not worth to do it. Yeah, but let's say then I would say if you have a 3rd layer, yeah, the voice layer on top of that, then of course you can easily do this 20 degrees. But I see very often the following thing is, let's say, you see if people are sitting, sitting like in this case, when people are sitting, let's say, close to the wall, then of course the corner, the angle in the front is of course much less than the angle in the back. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're sitting like in the middle, then you can have easy, let's say, like 20 degrees or 25 degrees everywhere around you. But the moment we are a little bit more to the back, it might be that the angle at the back becomes like 45 degrees and your front is then like 25 degrees. But that's even fine. I think if you have, let's say, the height speakers above your screen channels and you have already like, let's say, 15 degree, then already you gain a lot of transparency and it is really working very well.